So now that we've discussed the test, let's now talk about Nancy Summers' article, Responding to Student Writing. This begins our second unit in the class, which is talking about the teaching of grammar, not just grammar itself. Frankly, I think this unit is way more fun and interesting than the first unit. I did my best to make the first unit entertaining. I did my best.
Well, I have no complaints. So
I think, yeah, there's no real way to make grammar teaching too fun.
I
This,
will say I had a lot more fun writing this Pressy than I did the other ones because it was on the teaching side of it,
hmm
and it made it more like relatable and easy for me to
well, Janelle, what do
understand.
you write about with it? What do you find interesting about it?
Um, Let me pull up my Pressy just so I can. Oh my goodness! Nope. Um, I really my biggest thing, I guess, what I wrote about the most was the fact that she she said that teachers when they edit stuff, and I feel like this is somewhat true. You do really good at this. Like I said, when you graded my papers in the past, you would tell me my ideas and everything were really good, and to like build on some of those. But like my grammar was what needed help. So
Mm-hmm.
you would tell me I needed help on my grammar, but you wouldn't do it in the sense of, oh my goodness.
like you would help, he would give you strategies to help you, is what you're saying, right?
Sorry, I went mute for a second. She focused on the fact that it was more she wants you to educators should help students want to discover more about their ideas and stuff like that. Like build on their ideas rather than it just be grammar, 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 grammar. And it's
Right.
more of like you need to be like their mentor in a sense.
Yeah, actually giving specific strategies to help instead of vague remarks. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's how I've always tried to write feedback. Like you're right, Joanna. She points out like lots of times teachers will give contradictory feedback. So they'll
saw
write,
that a lot on her paper. Yeah, the examples.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they'll write like fix your comma here or your phrasing is unclear. And then over on the side they'll write delete this paragraph or something like that. Right. When you as the student get that type of feedback back, you're thinking, what the heck do I do with this? Um, should I change my phrasing or should I delete the paragraph? Which one here? Um,
Yeah, I like the strategy that she offers, like saying instead of focusing on the proofreading aspect, depending on where the what draft you're receiving, right? Like focus on the student being able to develop their thoughts and ideas, and then the next draft, focus on the proofreading aspect, as long as they have their ideas defined and explained thoroughly. So I thought it was she's phenomenal. Like it's simple, but it's genius at the same time, right? Like
mhm.
it's just very good at clarifying the best way to ensure that your students are taught the appropriate way to write, basically. So
Yeah, if you write this contradictory feedback, what tends to happen is students will maybe the students, like you said, Amelia, maybe the students' ideas aren't clear, right? But if you write all these notes about grammar on their draft, and they're going to go in and they're going to fix their commas or whatever, but then their ideas are still a mess.
and the paper's not good at all. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely a fine balance. Um, one of the things one of the way that I always try to grade, and you two both know this because you've had me before. The way that I always try to grade is I'll read it. Um, there's a couple ways to think about this. Sometimes you read a paper that's so grammatically challenged that the grammar becomes a major problem. But for the most part, whenever you read a paper, maybe there's some comma splices here, a fragment here or there, or whatever. But most of the time, you definitely need to focus on the logic and the argument side of things. Are they giving enough proof for their argument? Are they quoting enough? Are they quoting too much? Right? Um, do they have a good thesis? Is the evidence here? Is the introduction grab your attention? Does the conclusion do something besides just sum up what you've written again? Those are the things that you should always focus on first as teachers, rather than grammar, if you can help it. I always write anytime I write somebody notes. I always write a list. So I'll put like, here's some things you need to work on, 1, 2, and 3. And most of the time, I'll always put grammar as the last thing that you need to work on. I always mention. I got this idea from reading this article for the first time. I read this article when I was a first time teacher back in 2010, my first year of grad school. But yeah, so you try to write like, hey, fix your logic first. Maybe some paragraphs need moving around. Maybe you need a couple more paragraphs. I always try to give that type of feedback first. And then think about it like order of priority: the top layer priority, the middle, and then the bottom. Grammar should always be the bottom layer of priority, at least in the first draft. Whenever I say drafts, of course, I'm not oblivious. Most of the time, people's first draft is their only draft, right? Unless you're going slow at it in like a 101 class. Most of the time, that first stab at a paper is probably your only attempt at one. And it's not if you're smart, but lots of time life is chaotic. Not everybody has time to write 5 drafts, right? Anytime you write somebody feedback like that and you want them to get better, that's the way you should go about it. But sometimes I'll put a caveat on that. Sometimes, remember the paper you guys read at the beginning of the year as an experiment I conducted? That paper that had
Yes.
when you get a paper like that, what do you even do? Right? Every sentence is littered with grammar mistakes. Um, the ideas aren't there. The grammar isn't there either. You need to teach the person, hey, you got to capitalize words in your sentences. You got to spell words right. You got to combine your sentences together correctly. You got to teach the person this stuff, but it's a catch-22. How do you go about helping that person? Do you help them with their grammar first? When neither one of them is there, you start with the ideas first, like, hey, develop this more first, and then fix the grammar after that. That paper I gave you guys at the beginning of the year, I don't know the answer to that question. How do you even go about fixing that? The problem here is sometimes you have to think about your labor as teachers, and maybe you're putting more labor into grading the thing than the student actually put into writing it. I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes it takes me a million years to grade because I still haven't. I've been teaching now for 14 years, not full time, but I've been teaching for 14 years, and I still haven't found that balance with myself yet. Like, how much do you comment without it being too much? How do you write good feedback, especially to people who struggled even to write a sentence? Um, and I know you guys are going to be going in the K-12 systems. Um, I'm not. I'm not sure which grades you guys are planning to teach, whether it's early elementary or middle school or even high school. But yeah, even for you guys, you'll have to put this thought in, like how much am I labor am I putting into this paper? Um, if you spend 20 minutes grading every single paper, it's going to take you a million years to grade. Maybe you have 100 papers in your stack. Spend 20 minutes grading each one. Do the math. It takes forever. Um, one of the things I like to bitch about is math professors don't have to do any grading, and they get paid the same as me. Yeah, we English
They have
teachers.
that answer key, right?
Yeah, we English teachers should be paid more. But yeah, you have to keep that fine balance of labor. Let me ask you guys this: thinking about your previous classes, maybe your previous teachers, even stuff that I've written for you. Um, have you gotten contradictory feedback, like what Nancy Sommers is showing here? Like, have you?
Yes, I can recall that so often, like in elementary school, especially, or maybe even middle, but even high school, actually. Uh, there were times. So, like, elaborate on this, but cut this. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, what? So, yeah.
Yeah. By the time you edit, right, you just do superficial edits. Right? You don't
Hmm.
get feedback like that.
Also, the way she mentioned, like, the student thinks, oh, this is all that needs fixed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, they do all that, and it's not anywhere where it needs to be. So, or like we were discussing, not under being, it's vague, so you don't quite understand what it is that they want from you. So, like, what does this mean? What do they mean by this specifically? So she made great points. I thought it was a really good article. Really good.
What about you, Jonah? Have you felt like you've gotten that type of feedback before from different teachers you might have had?
Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. I'm trying to hold it in. I so like I said, like you give really good feedback and you said that you do it because of this. I feel like a lot of my English teachers have been more about my ideas because I guess just sounds bad, but I'm from Tennessee in a very small town. So like none of us really speak English very well. Um and so like grammar hasn't always been a big focus, but I feel like I've had teachers that like they just harp about it. Like there's some teachers that they're not from where we're from, and so like everything you do, it's like you didn't say that correctly, you didn't do this. So it's not always even a writing that they do it, it's just in everyday life
Mm-hmm.
doing it. Like you'll be speaking like especially when I have like when you're supposed to be kind of like how we talk about stuff in here, not everything I'm saying is going to sound like a like how I would write it in a paper. It's just my thoughts coming out, and I'll have teachers that are just like, this is not what that's, you don't need to talk like that, like you use correct like words and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just saying what I'm feeling. And so then I feel like my ideas aren't being heard, and it's just how I'm saying it is being heard, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy that you've heard stuff like that before because I think you speak very properly. So
I agree. I was going to say the same thing. I think she does an excellent job, especially, Tennessee, which honestly, they would, people from Tennessee would even say that West Virginia is, a little less formal in
Um,
regards to how they speak. So,
I will say that because I had that such at a young age, I used to also get made fun of. I went to the city school and I was supposed to go to the county school. So my whole life I kind of been made fun of at the city school for sounding like I sound like a hick, like my natural voice does. And so like I grew up teaching myself how to speak without an accent. But like all my friends, like I have a teammate in my room right now, my roommate, and she'll even say that whenever I get really excited or if I'm mad or angry or any emotion is really coming out, it's like immediately back to the hick and like and they'll make fun of how I'm saying words.
I don't hear it. I think you speak really well. I'm telling you, they're silly.
yeah, like you guys get this article and you think to yourself, okay, it's this is written in the journal College Composition and Communication. You assume this article is just for college teachers. Really, it's not, because both of you guys have already said you got the majority of this type of feedback in K 12, right? A lot of
Very true. Yep.
a lot of teachers just don't put a lot of thought into how they're. No, I wouldn't say they don't put a lot of thought. The problem is they just haven't been properly trained to grade writing appropriately.
Which is something else she addressed in her article. So, yeah. I love that she gave that perspective. And that was like what, written in the 80s?
1982.
Yeah, it was great, honestly.
Yeah, when I was at Ohio University working on my master's, she actually came and did a workshop with us. Like, here's a paper, grade it. Like, she would like look at our feedback and be like, nope.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so she is, because ever since this article made her career. It's only what 8 pages long,
Yeah, it's not even very long, but
but this article made her career. Like, she was one of the top rhetoric and composition scholars in her field ever, even after she wrote this article.
and like I was saying to you, it wasn't even overly complicated. It was quite simple. It's just the fact that she was able to um, I don't know, clarify everything in such a way that was so simple and easy to understand, and it just makes total sense, right? Like there's a genius to it, a genius to the simplicity, right?
Yes, if any of you guys would ever think about pursuing English as in a graduate setting, this is actually the field. You guys know I'm a literature specialist,
Yes, yeah.
but this is actually the field that is really burgeoning right now, like the rhetoric and composition style stuff that I'm teaching in this class.
Really?
Yeah, like if you specialize in rhetoric and composition, you can get a professor job really easy.
I guess that kind of can make sense because it's not like, so we've read so far in a lot of the articles that you've given, and even in other classes, that it is so misunderstood, and there's not really a science behind it that they found that works 100%. So I don't know, like it's insane. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
if you get English, you're the bomb.com.
Well, if you specialize in rhetoric and comp,
Oh, okay, wait, there you go.
the literature people and the creative writing people, they have a little bit of a harder time on the comp.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The research is actually not as complicated as doing. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm dragging the rhetoric people through the mud. Okay.
Right.
But the research isn't as complicated as what the literature research is. It's actually, I think it's like the literature is more, the research is more empirical, It's like taking surveys and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I always tell anybody tells me that they're thinking about going to grad school in English, my first thought is always say, do rhetoric and comp, because that's where the jobs are these days.
Does it have something to do with the way it increases like critical thinking skills and things like that with the
No,
composition aspect?
no,
No.
if you think about it, what's the English class majority of college students, every single college student has to take?
Yeah, that's true.
Composition one, composition two.
Because there's a lot of writing.
A lot of time, at some schools now, you don't have to take any literature at all.
Yeah.
So a lot of schools are cutting literature completely and just making their writing classrooms
Wow.
completely writing. That's the way it mostly is here.
Yeah.
Like me and Michael Smith are the only people teaching lit right now, I think.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a whole, if you go to grad school in English, there's a whole weird tension between lit people and rhetoric and comp people.
Huh.
Like, but I always had friends in both fields. Um, as you see, I know my rhetoric and comp stuff. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be teaching this class.
Right. Yeah.
But
Are you still
yeah,
going for the philosophy?
yeah. Actually, did I tell you yesterday that they wanted to add ethics to the medical curriculum?
No.
Yeah, ethics is a philosophy class, and they want to add it to the medical curriculum for nursing and rad tech and stuff like that.
Something for you to teach, huh?
Yes, I might be teaching more philosophy than English before long.
Pretty cool. I love philosophy.
Yeah, her article has always really stood out to me just because I think back to some of my English professors in college, and usually, or if he ever sees this video, he would know I'm picking on him. We're friends now. But I had a Shakespeare professor in college. It's always the Shakespeare professors. Um, but Shakespeare professors have a reputation for being the ball busters. So, like, you would write something for him and it would come back. It looked like blood had smeared all over your paper. They were writing this blood red ink.
Like he took it so seriously. Everything's so serious.
He would write the comments like that Nancy Sommers was talking about here.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get a paper back, you think, what the heck do I do with this?
Like, what does he do in his free time?
Yeah. He saw his role as a college English professor as he saw himself as a gatekeeper. Right? He was the one that made you that drew the line between people who could cut it in college or people who couldn't. He was one
I
of the,
gotcha.
yeah. Which
Oh,
I think that there's some value in that, but at the same time, you're supposed to teach people and not just tell them what they're doing wrong.
exactly. Yeah.
I will say that's one of the things that I hate is I had one teacher. This was the teacher that kind of was like more on the grammar side. She had, we all had red colored pencils, and we would mark each other's. And it was only grammar that we would mark on we would get other students' papers and have to mark them in red pencil. And so like that's one of my least favorite things to do, is because I felt like it was just this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, and it was never like, oh, you did good here. It was like, no, it's wrong.
Negative feedback the whole time. Yeah.
And today, this is kind of what I want to talk about in the last few minutes. This is something Nancy Sommers would have never anticipated in 1982. Back in the day, you would you would type a paper maybe on a typewriter and print it out, or maybe early word processors. You'd print it out. But today, the majority of grading is done on computers. And trust me when I say, when it comes to myself, you would much rather me grade on a computer than grade by hand, because my handwriting is crap. The same teacher I just told you about once said that my handwriting was the worst he had ever read in his career. Okay, so take that for what it's worth. You want me to grade on a computer. But when it comes to technology and giving feedback, um, what tends to happen is with with the way technology is, some of the features on it, it actually is regressive in ways, because she's telling us here we need to give specific feedback. We don't just need to say fix your commas or unclear, vague. If it's vague, tell the person how it's vague. I'm just going to show you guys this. Let me make sure I'm not sharing anything inappropriate here as far as a grade showing up or something. Okay. So this is, let me see. This is turn it in. Have any of you guys had professors grade on turn it
Yes.
in before?
You actually.
I've actually graded you on turn
I
it
was
in.
gonna say,
Once, maybe.
yes.
Once. Yeah.
We used Turnitin last year for World Lit.
Yeah, for literature.
Well, you submitted your papers to turn it in, but I
Right,
didn't. I
right.
graded them on Word. I didn't grade them on Turnitin.
Okay. Gotcha. I see the difference there.
Yeah.
Do a lot of teachers grade with Turnitin?
Yeah, let me show you. Like here's a student I got right now, one of my good ones. But Turnitin has this feature called quick marks, and so like lots of times, let's say I was grading Zion's paper here. So teachers will just click these quick marks, and then come up with their options like delete or something. They'll just put these like little quick, when they're grading, they'll just put these little quick comments, line space or whatever. They'll just put these quick generic comments into the papers, and maybe there's all kinds of them programmed in here. Improper citation, line space. Let's see, is there one for comma splice? Comma splice. Commas go after prepositional phrases. Or it should be commas go before prepositional phrases. Or, yeah, go after. But yeah, you have these whole like list of comments. And lots of times today, I know most of my colleagues in the English department grading this way. They use this turn it in. Well, and I've had some of my colleagues tell me in the English department, why are you wasting so much time writing your feedback on Word? Or I wasn't even sharing the right tab. You guys see this? You guys see this now?
Yes, yeah, I see.
Yeah, like you can quick these
Because I did not see any of the quick things. I was like, am I missing something?
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, huh.
Yeah, you can click these quick marks, and then just throw these random quick comments in to your papers, and then that's how a lot of my colleagues grade. I've actually had conversations with them. They've told me, like, why do you grade on Microsoft Word? You're just making you work harder on yourself. Like you can grade this way. Well, after reading the article for today, why do you guys think I don't grade this way?
You said that it was like it can be regressive, like it can take it back like to like an 8th grade, make it an 8th grade paper type thing. It's not maybe as thorough in providing the feedback that's necessary. There's probably a number of reasons.
I think you hit on some of them.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, you're not given specific feedback, right? These are just generic notes.
Yeah.
So
It could
like,
go on anything, right? Yeah.
so like you read this and you think to yourself, okay, where's maybe I put commas place. You think, okay, where's the commas place? Why is it a commas place? Um, so you don't really write those really specific feedback. Like there's a button on here where you can write specific feedback, but a lot of my colleagues will just grade using this. And when you do that, you're doing exactly what Sommers says. You're just focusing on grammar at the expense of content.
Right. Yeah.
So this is something that I just wanted to kind of draw your guys' attention to whenever you guys get into the school systems. I know that they use a lot of this type of tech for grading. Um, Something to watch out for, because sometimes this tech is regressive and takes us back to the past in ways we shouldn't go back to the past.
Right.
It
Quality over convenience type
right,
thing.
right, yeah, yeah. I've had many conversations with my colleagues about this, and I think they just. I'm probably the only teacher that teaches 101 and 102 that doesn't do it that way. But I think at this point they know that I'm just going to do things my way. So they just leave me alone at this point. So, but that's at the heart of why I don't like to grade and using Turnitin.
Right.
So again, if I want you guys to take away anything from the day, clear, specific feedback, not just grammar feedback. In a class called grammar, you would think I would harp on help people with their grammar, but really I'm doing the opposite.
Providing quality feedback. So.
Quality over convenience, even.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're right. At the same time, I do make it harder on myself. But I feel like that's my job.
Right. So the next is we have to have the next Pressy done.
Yeah, there's 2 articles next time you can pick from. There's another article from Nancy Sommers called Revision Strategies of Student Writers and Experienced Adult Writers. That's one of your choices. You also have the choice. This is a new article. I've never taught this one before, but this is an article written by a lady named Nancy Baker called The Effect of Portfolio-Based Instruction on Composition Students' Final Examination Scores, Course Grades, and Attitudes Towards Writing. So next class is about how do you grade people to help them revise and make their work better. That's what this article shows, what you can do wrong, what teachers do wrong. But next 2 articles, it's how can you really help students learn. So whichever one,
Making it meaningful, right?
right? So whichever one you guys find more interesting, you have a choice on one of the 2 for next time.
Okay, and then as far as we don't have to respond to classmates in the discussions due to attending class.
Yeah, both you guys for today post your Pressy to the discussion board, but you don't have to respond. That's right.
Okay.
At least post it though, but you don't have to
Okay.
respond. Same for Thursday if you're both here then too. All right, feeling good?
Feeling great.
Question. Sorry, I
Okay.
turned my Pressy in already. But was it due tonight at midnight or was it due before class?
Tonight at midnight.
Okay. I think there was something that I forgot to put in there, and I was hoping I could go back and like remove it and like edit it real quick.
Okay. I will do that for you right after here, Joanne. I'll go in and let you do a resubmit.
Thank you. If I actually just remembered that one of my paragraphs I forgot to put any of the textual evidence. And
Yeah, I didn't add any evidence either, honestly.
You want me to give you a resubmit too?
Yeah, it's a requirement to have at least a little bit of citation in there, I'm assuming.
All right. Well, I'll program you both a resubmit.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was thinking, because we haven't done one. And then I was like, oh wait, nope, that's what I missed. I missed the textual evidence. That's the part that I
Yeah.
was put in there.
Yeah, I didn't do that either. So.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for that, Joanna.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Yes,
See you
sir.
Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.